Two people were arrested after a traffic stop led to drugs being found in their vehicle on Monday night. According to Washington County Sheriff Mark Warden, a traffic stop was conducted near the intersection of State Route 821 and I-77 South in Muskingum Township. During the traffic stop, the driver John Decker of Parkersburg and passenger Holly Nieder of Marietta were asked to step out of the vehicle after Canine Timmy indicated there may be drugs in the car. During the search, officers found 2 printers with 1 pound of methamphetamine inside each of the printers, totaling to 2 pounds of meth. Decker was arrested and charged with 1 count of trafficking in drugs and 1 count of possession of drugs. Nieder was arrested and charged with complicity to trafficking in drugs. Decker is being held on a $750,000 plus PR bond, and Nieder is being held on a $200,000 plus PR bond.